Hello. The purpose of this video is to discuss structural sheathing. So when we create a floor or roof framing plan, we would indicate the sheathing and its direction, and we would put in or add notes to refer to the specs or the specifications for the sheathing, including its nailing. So sheathing is often referred to as boards that is used to cover or line up our walls, our floors, and the roof. Sheathing is made up typically plywood or OSB. It could also be gypboard or cement board. So gypboard, gypsum board, that's used for interior walls. Cement board, that's used for tile backing in restrooms and toilets. While plywood or OSB can be used for floor sheetings, wall sheetings, or roof sheetings. So for a construction of a house where you have joists, the floor sheeting is used to make the floor stable as well as provide a walking flat surface for the second floor, third floor, fourth floor, any floor. Okay, so it is usually constructed uh, perpendicular to the joist, and the nails are more dense on the edges than inside or what we call the field area. Okay, so this is the edge and this is the field. So on the edge, you can see there's more nails on it. And on the edges, on the edges, there's more nails on it or screws. And on the field, there are less nails or less screws. Okay, so typically the nails or screws on the edges of a floor sheeting or roof sheeting will be 6 inch on center, while on the field will be 12 inches on center. So for roof, we do the same thing. Here are your truss rafters or purlins, and you're going to install the plywood always perpendicular to the purlins or rafters or trusses. And you would put in more nails on the edges, um, 6 inches, and the nails and the field are going to be 12 inches on center. Whenever a roof is sloping, it's steep slope, um, you will have to install this H clips. These H clips are used to hold the plywood in place and to provide a more stable way of installing them and providing also a holding mechanism for the plywood to stay in place. So you can see here on a three-dimensional construction of wood framing, this darkened area indicates the direction of the plywood. Now, when we refer to plywood or sheeting, sheeting on framing could be either what we call an OSB, an oriented strand board, or a plywood. Typically, it's called a CDX plywood, which is just a low grade plywood. Because plywood, there's a Class A, Class B, and Class CDX is basically a low grade plywood. OSB is different from plywood. Plywood, the reason they call it plywood is it's made out of different veneers or sheets of wood. So there are different plies of them. So plywood, and then they're compressed together with heat and glue. Whereas OSB, it's made of like wood shavings that are pressed and glued together. So it's a relatively new material compared to plywood, and they have certainly different uses. Plywood mostly is used when its surface is exposed, and OSB is used when the surface is covered. The most favorite part of the house that uses OSB is the roof, because since roof are going to be covered by paper and by roof shingles, then they want to put in OSB. OSB is also a little bit cheaper than plywood, but if you are using a CDX plywood, they're relatively the same price, just a little bit of difference. Okay, so for our project, we will open again AutoCAD, and we will specify the sheeting that we're going to use on the walls. Okay, because we haven't said anything about wall sheeting, and we're going to specify the sheeting to use in our floor and also on our roof. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to indicate the plywood and its direction. I know it's pretty standard, and a lot of contractors and guys in construction know how to install this plywood. But yeah, we do have to indicate that or put that as a note at the very least. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click. We're going to do it in a paper model space, and we're going to do a plywood. And plywood size is 4 feet by 8 feet. So we're going to do a rectangle, and we're going to draw a rectangle that is 4 feet, comma 8 feet. Okay, enter. Okay, and we're going to make sure that it's on the same layer as our framing, as floor frame. And we're going to change its line type to hidden. Okay, and typically we're going to also put an X on it, not to indicate an opening, but to indicate that's the whole plywood. And then we're going to just copy that or move that and move the edge somewhere, okay, where we can see them. And we are going to copy again the previous, and we're going to copy this to the midpoint of that plywood. Okay, and then do the same thing. We're going to copy again the previous, and this time we're going to copy endpoint to endpoint. Okay, so we just have to outline how the plywood would go, and that's basically it. We don't need to fill the whole thing all the way, and then all we need to do is basically call it out. Okay. So one of the things that you need to be good at is how will you call it out. So in order to get a better call out, I may need to put these set of plywoods closer to the edge, and it doesn't really matter. Move previous as long as it's straight around the space. Yeah, like that. Okay. And then we're gonna call this out. You just have to be good at where would you put that note. And maybe I can bring this no space in the paper space, click this and pull this down. And then maybe I can simply do a copy of this leader, bring it up a little bit, and then bring up the edge to um, the intersection of that one. No, I don't want to. I'm going to bring my SW1. Somewhere here. And then I'm going to call this out. Typical TIPC floor sheeting, and then I'm just gonna say C notes. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring this up a little bit, or maybe I should just bring this up and bring my SW1 here, and then maybe bring this more down a little bit, or bring this up. Oh, maybe just bring this up here. That's why I can pull this up here. Yeah, there you go. I think that's better. Typical floor sheeting C notes. Okay. And then we are going to add the sheeting, maybe not on this sheet, but on a different sheet. So let's go switch now to the roof framing plan, and we are actually going to do the same thing. Let's just copy and go and copy here. Go to the right, and we're going to select this and transfer it to roof sheeting or roof framing, and then move and make sure that we put it somewhere it's easily seen. Uh, let's move it there first and then go to S2 and then move, double click on wall space, move previous, and we just move it somewhere here. Okay, and then we're going to call it out again. And I'm just going to go here and Control C or right click clipboard copy and then go here and Control V. Oh, there you go. And put it at the intersection. And we're going to just put typical roof instead of floor. We're just going to change this to roof. Typical roof sheeting. C notes. Okay, and then we are going to um, uh, put notes not on this sheet, uh, but on a different sheet. Okay, so we're going to now specify the sheeting, and what we're going to do is we're going to first go to S1 and look at our notes. We have structural notes here, and we specified that the shear wall number 1 is made out of 3/4 inch structural grade plywood. And then there's your header, and we already have a header schedule here. And so we are going to remove this, and let's put this on our general notes sheet. So we're going to just delete that. And you know what? I'm going to undo, and I'm going to just move it outside the paper. And we are also going to move this out of the paper. And we are going to move all of this up here. Okay. And the reason why we move this out of the paper is we're going to create what we call our um, structural notes. So we're going to right click here, and then we're going to move our copy. We're going to create a copy, and we're going to create a copy before S1. Okay, so we're going to click OK. And oh, and then it's going to appear here S1-2. We're simply going to click this and then grab that and move that before S1. And now it's before S1. So you have the model space, you have that new sheet. We're going to rename that, and we're going to rename that to S-0. Okay, big letter S-0. S-0. There you go. Press enter. Okay, so this is S1, and over here it's going to be S0. So we're going to change this to S0. Okay, and we are going to actually move all of this again. I'm just going to move that somewhere out here. Okay, and then we're going to move this back here. And we are going to specify the plywood that we are going to use. Okay, so we're going to change this. We're going to double click, and we're going to put in sheeting notes. All right. We're not going to have any of this headers. We're going to delete that. And then we're going to put in SW1 will be shear wall type 1 3/4 inch structural grade plywood with uh, 4 inch 6 pennies on center. I'm confused. Wait a second. With 4 inch 6 pennies over 2 by 6 for okay. So we're going to remove this. And then we're going to put in with 6 pennies at 6 inches edge and 6 pennies at 12 inches field. Okay. So we are specifying here that the sheeting for shear wall type 1 will be 3/4 inch structural grade plywood with 6 pennies at 6 inch edge and 6 pennies at 12 inch field. So that's the nailing, right? And then we are going to specify the plywood or the sheeting for typical walls. And if I do this way, I'm going to have a very small text. So what we're going to do is we're going to backspace this and we're going to change this, just changing the style. Type 1, there you go, 6 inch typical walls, and press tab, and then UON, unless otherwise noted, sheeting, whoop, unless otherwise noted, sheeting on walls and we're going to add the word ext for exterior walls. Shall be 3/4 inch OSB, and we're going to specify the same nailing with 6 pennies at 6 inches edge and 12 inches field. 6 pennies at 12 inches. We have to add here OC, and here also OC. Press enter here at the end, and then I'm pressing tab, by the way. OC and 6 pennies at 12 inches. OC. Press enter and then tab field. Okay, so we're specifying that for SW1 it's a shear wall type 1, and here we have a typical walls. The sheeting would be, unless otherwise noted, that means unless it says SW1, then the sheeting will be for the exterior walls, 3/4 inch OSB with 6 pennies at 6 inch on center edge and 6 pennies at 12 inches on center field. Okay, we also have to specify, so we're going to pull this down because this is all about sheeting, and we're going to specify the sheeting on floor. Okay, and press tab. Unless otherwise noted, UON, Floor sheeting. Enter. Oh, AutoCAD has this. If you're not looking at the screen, AutoCAD will adjust that, and then you just have to click on this one, and then remove the bullets, and then UN floor sheeting tab shall be 3/4 inch CDX plywood with um, let's say number 5 uh, screws, and we're going to specify here 2-inch number 5 screws. So we're going to use screws for the flooring at 6 inches uh, OC. Let me just press enter and then tab edge. Why are you doing this? Remove bullets and 12 inches OC field. Enter and tab. Okay, and then we have one more. That will be the roof. So we have walls, floors, and I'm going to put here typical floors. And then the last one is typical roof sheeting. And same thing, unless otherwise noted. Enter, and then I think you can just backspace. There you go, backspace to remove that. Roof sheeting shall be, and again, the engineer would have to test, we have to do this calculation. Let's do a 5/16 inch thick OSB, and you're going to put in the same nailing or screws. So here's our sheeting notes for our shear walls. We wanted 3/4 inch thick. So I squeezed this word THK, which means thick. Also here, 3/4 inch thick. So 3/4 inch thick and 5/16 inch thick to THK. And then I assign here 12 gauge straight inch diameter roofing nails. So we're going to use roofing nails for the roof, not screws and not just ordinary nails, but roofing nails, which has a flatter head and I guess wider head. Okay. You're going to put the diameter symbol, and if I haven't discussed that yet, I don't know, I can't remember. To put a diameter symbol, it's going to be 2% signs, percent, and then followed by the letter C. So once you put letter C, it will change into um, a diameter symbol. Okay, so that's percent, and letter C. It will automatically change into a diameter symbol. So that's what we have. We are going to add some more notes here, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a general notes sheets, and we put here sheeting notes. We're going to modify this later, and over here we're going to double click and change this and say general structural. Let's put the whole word general structural notes. Okay, now we can change the text so that they match, um, but typically engineers, they just stay with the Arial for their text, and doesn't, we don't need to set it to architect's kind of font. Okay, so yeah, that's how to create a sheeting. You lay it out here on the framing and also on the roofing. And then you say typical roof sheeting, C notes, and then actually we have to put here C general structural notes. Okay. C typical roofing sheeting, C general structural notes, and over here too, typical flooring. Uh, let us want to uh, C and then C. Let's just put here C general structural hmm, structural. See what it looks like. If it's good just to the eyes. Typical floor sheeting. C general structural. Yeah, that's okay. Um, yeah. So because if we put in notes, they might just look at this one here, and we don't have any notes in that one. Okay. Uh, we do have here sheeting for floors too, and so we're gonna erase that. We're gonna just put floor framing, so and not include the sheeting. So this is all about the framing and not the sheeting, and we're going to address the sheeting on the general structural notes on sheet S0. It's not done yet. That's what we're gonna do next. Okay.